What's the best case of instant karma you've witnessed? This AOL cut into my lane, forcing me to brake hard the other week. I honked and he turned around in his car, while still driving, to flip me off. He didn't see the car in front of him stopping at a red light and crashed into the car in front of him. I had a lot of fun telling the police what had happened. I was at a touristy place at the top of a big cliff. People were hanging around at the top, just enjoying the view, and this one guy was eating a sandwich while staring at his phone. After he was done, he couldn't be bothered to find a trash can, so he went to throw the sandwich wrappings off the cliff, but he got his hands confused and hurled his phone off the cliff instead. Reminds me of the time I had a wishflower seeding dandelion and sucker, one in each hand. Proceeded to get a mouthful of dandelion fluff. A person tried to shove past me in the hallway. Immediately after, a door opened up into the hallway and slammed him in the face. I don't care how long ago this was, I would still be there laughing. Eons have passed, the building is no longer standing, and humanity has moved on to new planets and galaxies, leaving Earth a desolate wasteland. All that remains is a man, decrepit and wasting, always laughing, until the end of time itself. Her right in the face, her. Two of my friends and I were playing Monopoly sometime around freshman year of high school. One of my friends owned all the railroads, meaning any player who landed on a railroad would pay him 200. The entire game felt like I was just moving my token from railroad to railroad, paying my friend each time, having no opportunity to buy properties, and getting super frustrated. In reality, it was probably only 2 or 3 times. On my next roll, I quickly calculate which space I was going to land on as I start to move my token, and lo and behold, I was going to land on another freaking railroad. I gracefully slide, cheat, past the railroad and plop my piece on the next space. Chance card reads something as follows: move token to nearest railroad, pay owner twice the amount. I lost my it. I played Monopoly once in college. Once, man, it felt like forever. Pedestrian crossing the street. Everyone stops for him except one guy in the last lane blasts his horn and blows through the intersection, nearly running the pedestrian over. There was an unmarked police car right behind him that immediately pulled him over. As a pedestrian who uses the crosswalk correctly and yet has this happen to me every day, this brings a glistening tear of justice to my eye. Was walking down the street and a Porsche gunned it to make a left turn in front of me at the entrance of a gas station. He missed hitting me by about a foot. He cut it too close and hit the curb and tore his front bumper off. Was working at a trampoline park which had 2 different dodgeball areas. One for kids 12 and under, another for 13 and up. And knowing little of a kid kept trying to sneak into the 13 and up game, running around, breaking rules, and basically being a pain. We couldn't really do much about it. Eventually I just let him sneak on, and not a moment later he got smacked beautifully in the face with a rubber ball. Actually sent him flying back a couple feet. He wasn't so keen to play after that. I kind of feel bad for the kids that are 12, but all their friends are 13. It's an honor system. It's not like the kids have IDs you can check. The kid in Op's story was probably visibly under 13. Oh yeah, good point. Although in my city, Hong Kong, kids get IDs at 11. A few years back, I was traveling on the interstate to meet some friends who attended a different college than I did for a weekend. On the way there, I'm in the right-hand lane, minding my own business, when a car tries to cut me off. No big deal, right? Except she ended up clipping my bumper and running me off the road. With her driving speeds of circa 80-85 mph, other driver keeps on going along her merry way, while I'm on the shoulder attempting to contact the local police to report an accident. 5 minutes later, a state trooper pulls up behind me and asks what happened. I explain the situation, describe the other vehicle, including a partial license plate number, and he asked if my car was still drivable. After confirming that it was, he said, "Just follow me up to this next exit." I got a call about a driver who is out of gas and needs assistance. We pull up to the next exit just shy of a gas station. Sure enough, it was the girl who was the other party in my hit and run. She tried to deny anything occurred, until the trooper looked at my front bumper damage, and her back end damage, assessed the paint colors matched, etc. Bonus is that her plate had the partial information I had gathered as she sped away. Turns out, girl has no insurance and no license. Gets hauled off to jail on a hit and run. All because she couldn't slow her ass down and be a decent driver. A lifted pickup truck with one of those train horns was driving aggressively through morning work traffic and honking at people who got in his way. He did it to an unmarked sheriff, or trooper, some kind of law enforcement, and promptly got his ass pulled over. So, when one of those trucks that are unnecessarily lifted high up is pulled over, what does the cop do? Stand on the foothold? He reaches his arms to the sky and says a P, until the man in the truck lifts him up and sits him on his lap while he gets a ticket. Wow, officer, when do you get this big? I just walked into a crowded bar with my friend back when we were in our early 20s. Make our way around the entrance handrails and bam, this dude smashes his shoulder into mine, knocking me back. Thinking it was just an accident caused by a crowded bar, I start to recover and this dude throws his shoulder into me again. Before I can even begin to react to the second more aggressive hit, this monstrosity of a bouncer, watching the whole things go down, picks the guy up and literally throws him out the exit doors. It all happened in a matter of 5 seconds. I don't think any other person in that bar, nor my friend, even saw it go down. Maybe not instant, but close enough. Working as a medic a long time ago and get called for a leg injury at a Friday night soccer game. We get there and determine it's most likely a torn ACL. Painful, but basically any hospital can handle, and it's not really a priority. So we explain to the patient it will probably be faster and a lot cheaper if she just wants to have someone else drive her to the hospital that's literally around the block. Here comes the white knight into our story. This guy used friend zone, explained how he's a medical student going for his doctorate and she needs to go to the local trauma center, which is a good 30 minutes drive. We explain no, we'll go to the local, they can handle it. However, the patient pulls the nastiest look at us and says her friend knows more than my partner and I, because he's actually studying medicine and we're just ambulance drivers. My partner and I give each other that look. An ACL tear isn't priority for trauma center, especially on a Friday night. Drunk driving crashes and gunshot wounds are gonna be taking up the ER there. We oblige to the request with documented protest. The friend rides with us. We make him right up front. He explains how the surgeon there's his friend and she'll get seen right away. We roll in, and sure enough there's about a dozen ambulance crews trying to unload patients in much worse cases than ours. We get to triage after about 15 minutes, and the RSN tells us to put her in the waiting room. She starts crying bloody murder. Cherry on top, she asks her friend to do something. He calls his buddy surgeon down. Turns out not his buddy, but one of his teachers, who proceeds to yell at him about thinking that an ACL tear needs to come to a trauma center. She could have been in and out the hospital in an hour if she had listened to us. Why do people think they know better than professionals? During my lunch break at work a few years ago, I ran over to this convenience store that sold a few deli items and also had a lunch of the day special. That day it was spaghetti. I walked into the store and headed to the back to the coolers to grab a drink, and I start walking over to the line that was formed to grab a lunch. This older woman, who was talking to a woman not even close to the line, saw me walking and literally strong-armed me to get in front of me. She full-on shoulder-checked me. The cashier saw it, looked at me, and I just shook my head, as if to not call her out on it. She gets 2 orders of spaghetti. They come in a styrofoam compartment tray. She walked towards the door and someone comes in that she knows, so she's saying hi. I pay for my food and I'm out the door. As I'm walking to my truck, I hear a loud off. I turn around and this woman is planked on the ground with spaghetti and meat sauce all over her white shirt. Dude I worked with a pizza delivery, hit my bumper and scratched in the parking lot. A customer called him out on it. He denied it and went on his delivery. On that delivery he was T-boned and his car was totaled. Had he come into the store to tell me and apologize, I would have forgiven it. Instead he had to pay $500 for a new bumper paint job and lost his car. In high school, had a kid punch me for like no reason. I would have punched him back, but the principal and the resource officer had literally just walked around the corner and saw it. They walk up and ask the other kids, "Did the lightning count 1 provoke Bob here?" Kids shook their heads. "Did the lightning count 1 strike Bob before just now?" Kids shook their heads. Resource officer cuffed Bob and took him to the office. He was a multiple offender and this was the last straw. He was expelled and we never saw him again. I got hauled in by the resource officer because I had a club in the back of my truck. The club was a tire iron. I gave them the most "you people are stupid" series of comments ever. No, I'm not going to throw away my tire iron, your dangerous weapon. What if I get a flat, you dippets? One time I smiled at someone walking by, then I saw them smile at somebody, who then smiled at somebody else. It was like a happy karma train. A few years ago now, there were terrible gales of wind in my town, like they would be pushing you down the street at times. At the place I worked at, there seemed to be a funnel effect due to the size of the building and narrow streets, which made the wind even stronger, to the point you could almost lean backwards as you walked, which you had to do to stop yourself from being pushed forward. Well, one time I came out of work, walked down the road in the strong winds to the corner, where there was an adjacent road, and the wind picked up something crazy and practically fired me out around the corner. Unbeknownst to me, there was an old woman coming the other way, who saw me just randomly fly out from around the corner, and looked at me like I was a prize idiot just messing around. I looked back to see her reach this corner, where the wind was still blowing strong, and it sent her flying out into the road. Luckily nothing was coming at the time, but it was very much a, "Young man, don't act like that. She gets the corner and wind blows." Arg. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button and leave a comment which story you liked the most. Subscribe and hit the bell notification for updates on our latest videos. And don't forget to check the links in the description box for more awesome content.